everybody, welcome to another Wednesday live stream. Today's Wednesday, right? Sure is. Thanks so much for joining me today. Let's get the tweet button going so everyone knows we're live. Sorry I'm a couple minutes late. Right before I started this, my internet decided to be unbearably slow, and I had to reset things. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. Welcome to the Wednesday live stream. Today we're going to be talking about some current events, full site editing mostly. I put out a video on that, my first impressions, earlier this week. But we're going to go into depth about that. We're going to go in depth about that. We're going to talk full site editing, which is what I just said. We're going to talk Gutenberg 9.9. How to test full site editing, and there was an interesting study from Mount Sinai, which I also want to cover. But first, couple of reminders. I am going live again at 1 p.m. Eastern over on the WP Buffs channel with an Ask Me Anything. So I dropped the link in the comments. If you want to get even more of me, but with the very charming and much better host than me, Ali Nimmons, we'll be doing an AMA over on the WP Buffs channel. So I'm going to save any questions not explicitly about today's topics for that. Not that I get a ton of questions during these live streams yet, at least. And then also too, if you want to get updates about tips, tools, things like that, and more, you can sign up for my email newsletter. That is over at buildsomething.email. Buildsomething.email. That is a free weekly newsletter. It's called Build Something Weekly. And I give you tips, tricks, top stories, things like that. That's again over at buildsomething.email. I'll put that in the comments too. It's free, it's weekly. You get fun announcements and all the content that I've been working on. So there you go. There you have it. Those are the two announcements. Let's just jump right into the news here, because let me tell you, we have an action-packed live stream today. We're going to be talking top stories. The main segment is going to be testing WordPress 5.7. The beta 2 dropped yesterday. So I'll be spinning up a staging server. I'll be installing it on my local environment, which I'm using DevKinsta for. And then we'll be heading into the nerd corner. I was going to talk about Descript, but I haven't given that enough time yet. So there have been a few tools that I have been playing with, but none, I'm not ready to kind of dive into any yet. We looked at otter.ai last week. I've been using that more for my membership transcripts, just to see how that works. And because I'm getting a pretty much full transcript from an actual transcriber. So that's otter.ai, but Descript looks super interesting. I just haven't had any time to play with it yet. Okay, so let's, right, and then in the nerd corner, we're going to talk WandaVision again, because it's all I've been thinking about. I mean, I have been rewatching the Star Wars movies with my daughter, so we could talk a little bit about that too, if you like, but WandaVision, we'll talk about that. Maybe we'll talk about Star Wars. Okay, all the exciting stuff for people who are not nerds. All right, so let me, get back over here. Twitter. We don't need to look at Twitter right now. The first story I wanted to cover is over on the Tavern. What does the full site editing MVP look like? So if you've been following along, the MVP for full site editing is expected to be ready in April, which feels fast. The core team is shooting to get full site editing by June, with 5.8. Again, feels fast. I mean, Justin says here in this article, these seem like lofty goals, but then we're asking what's an MVP for full site editing. There are some good thoughts in here. Yoast obviously always has a lot of thoughtful comments that he puts in. I think since this article, Josepha Hayden has opened up something over on make.wordpress. But she pointed to a ticket that lists 7 milestones. The MVP should make it possible to build a version of the 2021 theme using only blocks without knowing any code. Honestly, I think that's a really good MVP, right? Because it's got clear goals and a tangible outcome. It's not just like, well, it should probably do these things. If I had to guess, if I had to put my money on it, I would say this is probably going to get delayed again. Matt said in the State of the Word that he wanted to make sure to get phase 2 exactly right. Thank you. My wife just brought me iced coffee. It's amazing. I'm so excited for it. Even though it's February, I still drink iced coffee because I live in the Northeast and the calendar doesn't dictate when I enjoy cold caffeinated treats. So, sorry, this mic is probably picking up all of that too. Okay, so if I had to guess, I would say this is getting delayed because Matt Mullenweg said in the State of the Word that he wants to get phase 2 exactly right. If we don't get phase 2 right, then we lose credibility for phases 3 and 4. I think phase 1 was rushed. 3 years out from that, I don't think that's a controversial statement. Or are we 4 years out from that? Gosh, I don't think that's a controversial statement. I think the fact that it's taken people so long to adopt Gutenberg still proves that it's not a controversial statement. There are people who still are using the classic editor because they are afraid of Gutenberg. Not afraid like they fear it, but they're worried about what it's going to do to their live sites. Now, I, of course, was a Gutenberg early adopter. I had the first user course based on it. That course is getting an update, hopefully this month. Hopefully by the time 5.7 comes out. But I understand people's fears and frustrations. Even, I was using the Cadence theme, which kind of, with Cadence blocks, turns Gutenberg into a page editor. And there are still some frustrating interactions. That said, it has come a long, long way. But still, people are worried about adopting it because initial thoughts were very, very bad. And people found other alternatives, page builders and things like that. So I think that phase 2 needs to be exactly right for people to want to adopt it right away. In my initial thoughts video, my first look video, I thought it looked fantastic. I think that it needs some work, obviously, but it's very clearly labeled as a beta. It's not ready for prime time. It's not even at MVP level status yet, right? It's just like if you kind of know what levers to turn, you can turn it on. And so I did that first test. When the MVP comes out, you can look for another video. But I thought this was an interesting article. And then hot off the heels of that, or maybe hot on the heels of that, there is there we go. I was like, this had content last time I looked at it. A page was added to the WordPress handbook called How to Test Full Site Editing that goes through exactly what we should be doing to turn on full site editing, things that we should try if you're anyone. So anyone, users especially, theme authors, try some things. So I thought that this was good, and then you can open an issue if you like it. This was updated yesterday. Is today the 10th? Yeah, this was updated yesterday. So, again, I think the WordPress team here, Josepha and the developer, the development team, I think they're doing the right things here. I think that it's important to give them credit for uh, implementing. This is a lofty goal, right? This is a big deal. This is probably going to fundamentally change, not even probably, this is going to fundamentally change themes for WordPress. In my WordPress year in review, which that is done being edited, and I just need to format it, and the ebook will be ready very soon. But in my WordPress year in review, I talk about how I think that this is going to usher in a new renaissance for theme development. And so it's a big deal. We got to get it right. And again, we see this with other themes, right? Like Astra, Cadence, and Bloxy all have shockingly similar looking header and footer builders. And I'm not calling anybody out here, but they all look very similar. WordPress is open source, so it's possible that they used the same source from whoever and built upon it and made it their own. That's totally fine. That's what the open source software movement's all about. But I think we have like a general UI that the theme development community has adopted. The WordPress core team is going in a different direction, and their scope is obviously bigger. And so I think that, again, I want to give credit to the WordPress core team for their openness, their willingness, and their documentation, I think, has been better. I will definitely touch on full site editing in the course update. If not when it first comes out, then because I think it's going to come out before the MVP. But I'll definitely be adding course modules as it matures. So anyway, that is how to test full site editing. Let's stay on the WordPress stuff before we move over to what I think is a super interesting sounding story. But what's new in Gutenberg 9.9, which came out last Friday? Drop this in the chat. Notable about Gutenberg 9.9, this is the version of the plugin that will get bundled into 5.7. So if you want to do, well, it probably already is, right? So this is the so any release beyond this, 10.0 and beyond, that'll be stuff that'll be slated for 5.8. So if you want to get a decent idea of what's going on here, they added a bunch of stuff, custom icon and background colors and social icons. Love that. I love that, right? I think one of the best blocks is the social icons, because it drives me crazy that I would need to install a separate plugin just to add that. Preferences, the options modal is all grown up. It's now called preferences. I'm glad I didn't start shooting my course yet, because I would have already had to reshoot stuff. Text labels in the block toolbar. This is something I think that's been around for a little bit. Lots of enhancements, new APIs, some breaking changes in the experimental theme.json, and lots of bug squashing. And there's an experiment section. I can't remember if there was one of these previously, but full site editing, lots of stuff in full site editing, lots of stuff in navigation and widgets. Those are also phase 2, navigation and widgets, specifically getting the widgets into the block editor, right? That was a goal of phase 2. So lots of experimentation here, and then there's a separate section for documentation, code quality. I don't remember seeing these things in at least the last time I was checking these updates, but performance benchmarking is a really interesting one. So I think that I love that the Gutenberg team and the core team is focusing so heavily on performance and semantics and accessibility, because while I love Beaver Builder, for example, but this is any page builder, right? Not to single out Beaver Builder, it's just the one I'm the most familiar with. There's a lot of markup generated there. And I'm not saying that's non-performant, but if you need to do something like traverse the DOM with JavaScript or something, the bigger the DOM, the longer the JavaScript is going to take to load, right? So, or to execute. And just like trying to style things. And anyway, I like that Gutenberg is focusing on this. This is Beaver Builder is a much more mature page builder that you can do a lot more with. But if you're looking for competitive advantage for speed and accessibility, Gutenberg is where it's at. Matt Medeiros coming in hot. I can't believe Elementor raised their prices. I'm going to say this is tongue-in-cheek. Because as far as if I recall correctly, Elementor gives away like way too much of their plugin for free. In my humble opinion, as a non-Elementor customer, I think they give away too much for free. But Elementor raised their prices. People in the WordPress space hate that. Don't charge me for things. Everything should be free. Hot take, I guess. Matt, while you're here, I just want you to know that I finished recording my own little mic shootout. I saw you launched yours yesterday. Mine's coming tomorrow. I referenced Matt's in mine because we had a tweet. I quoted one of Matt's tweets last week saying it was coming this week, and I'm a man of my word. $9.99 for 1,000 websites. I wish I could just kind of pull you into this stream right now, Matt, because this is interesting. Just live. I probably could actually. But $9.99 for 1,000 websites. That's almost $1 per website. I'm outraged because I charge 99 cents per website. Sorry, this is silly. Matt coming in hot, bringing the drama. Let's follow. This is a live stream. This is news. Elementor. No, not that. Elementor pricing. I could just go to the Elementor pricing page. I could do that. I don't know if anybody has covered the story. I guess not yet. Elementor Pro pricing. I don't know what the old pricing was. Is this the old pricing? Matt, you're going to have to... I know we're on like a delay here. $199 a year for 1,000 websites. If they raised it to $999 for 1,000 websites, that is quite a jump. Not live on site yet. Check blog. Announcing Elementor Pro new pricing models and plans. I'll drop this in the chat too. Thanks for the hot tip, Matt. Again, I'm not an Elementor guy. I'm a Beaver Builder guy. They are honoring old pricing until March. Ooh, land grab. On March 9th, 2021, Elementor will be adding a new Studio and Agency Pro subscription plans and adapting the Expert plan. If you are on an existing active subscription plan, nothing changes for you. So if you're thinking about Elementor, don't do that. If you're thinking about Elementor, it sounds like now is a great time to get on the Pro plan because you'll save money. So they are renaming the plan. Let's make this bigger so everybody can see it. $199 will get you 25 websites. $9.99 will get you 1,000. This is agency. It also comes with looks like VIP support. 100 website kits. Website kits are coming soon. I'm going to go ahead and assume, though I'm sure they cover it in this blog post, a website kit I suspect is probably like a starter kit. And then expert network profile. So what's new? What's staying the same? Tailor-made relevant content with 100 additional website kits coming soon. So it sounds like the website kits will pre-build websites for you. Astra does this. I think Cadence also does this. And VIP support. Honestly, hot take here, not really knowing anything about the Elementor ecosystem. This looks like a good and smart long-term move. Honestly, like if you if you're building 25 websites for $199 per year, hopefully you're getting more than $199 per year for those 25 websites, right? You get the pro features, website kits. So I think this makes sense. This is like how for the longest time, Matt agrees. Thank you, Matt. This is like how for the longest time, Advanced Custom Fields basically gave away their plugin. It was like $75 for a lifetime subscription. And they just changed it, a year ago maybe, to be an annual subscription model. And that plugin brings so much value to so many people that you can't really get mad at them for changing their prices, especially if they are going to improve the plugin and continue to make it better. That's what subscriptions allow the developers to do. That's why I will gladly pay for the Deliveries app subscription. That's why I'll gladly pay for the Tweetbot subscription, $6 a year to use Twitter in a way that doesn't make my blood pressure spike is worth $6 a year. And then the same thing, my face is in the way of most of this. Let me get rid of this for a second. And the same thing goes with these new plans, right? At $9.99 per year, 1,000 websites, like, first of all, $9.99 a year for an agency that's doing 1,000 websites, $1,000 is nothing. I just locked in a sponsor for like 3 times that, $3,000, and they paid me same day, like no fuss whatsoever. So $1,000 a year for somebody building 1,000 websites should be nothing, right? So again, I don't know if that was I don't know if Matt, I don't know if you saw Outrage, but that is usually the knee-jerk reaction when prices go up or people charge anything in the WordPress space, generally from what I've seen. So good for Elementor. I think this is really good. I think it'll lead to a better product because they'll be able to put more resources towards making the product better. And at the same, if Beaver Builder did this, I was actively developing websites for clients, Beaver Builder gets me most of the way there. Beaver Builder saves me way more, right? And I suspect it's the same thing for Elementor for a lot of people. Saves me hours and hours of time. So I think that's a good move. Okay, real quick, let's talk about this Mount Sinai study. Mount Sinai study finds Apple Watch can predict COVID-19 diagnosis up to a week before testing. Now, I was super curious about this. I wear an Apple Watch every day, and I used to be like a watch snob. I love my watches, and I thought for sure that this study would be related only to the Series 6 watch because that has the pulse oximeter in it, right? So you have something that's regularly pulling your blood oxygen level, probably a good sign if it drops dramatically that you might have COVID. But this study enlisted several hundred healthcare coworkers, gathered data between April and September. The primary biometric signal the study's authors were watching was heart rate variability, which is a key indicator of strain on a person's nervous system. This information was combined with information around reported symptoms associated with COVID-19, including fevers, aches, dry cough, gastrointestinal issues, and loss of taste and smell. And the Warrior, I guess this is called the Warrior Watch study, was not only able to predict infections up to a week before tests provided confirmed diagnosis, but it also revealed participants' HRV patterns normalized fairly quickly after their diagnosis, returning to normal roughly 1 to 2 weeks following their positive test. So this is interesting because the heart rate monitor has been in the Apple Watch, I think, since at least Series 3. So if you have Series 3 or newer, you've got some good data here for testing, potentially for diagnosing COVID. I'm sorry. Don't take my word. I'm not a healthcare expert. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not any kind of this. But based on this study, which I'm sure hedges a little bit, right? I haven't looked at the data, but this sounds really promising, right? Because the Apple Watch is pretty ubiquitous at this point. And it's pretty cool that you can... It's pretty cool if doing this remotely allows us to get a better idea if we might have COVID or not without having to get a test and things like that. So I'll link this in the comments. I think I forgot to do that. Here we go. Okay. So that's from TechCrunch. I'm going to keep watching this. I think it's really interesting. I'm sure all the tech podcasts that I watch or listen to will probably have some hot takes on this as well. They probably did some more digging, but I came across this morning and I wanted to share it. Okay. So those are the top stories. Plus one. Thanks again, Matt, for contributing. So next up is testing out WordPress 5.7. So I'm going to go ahead and spin up a staging site over on my Liquid Web account. Exciting news. I'm moving over to Nexus from Liquid Web, which I know they're the same. Well, they're under the same umbrella. But it came time for me to renew this, which was graciously gifted to me by the Liquid Web team several years ago. And I decided to move over to Nexus. It has some newer tools. It has some domain mapping stuff that I like. I think it has, if it's like their managed WooCommerce, it's got two-way sync between staging and production. This early version of their managed WordPress hosting does not. So super exciting. So while that's happening, I'm also going to bring up Dev Kinsta. I'm going to add a new site. It's going to be a new WordPress site. WordPress beta test, we'll call it. And we'll create that site. Oh, gosh. Okay. Joey C was my username when I was in high school. Joey C 1020, because I wasn't the first Joey C. That's a weird restriction. That's not a WordPress restriction. That being the minimum 5-character admin name. That must be a Kinsta restriction. Okay, so new sites, creating, staging site. I'll just give you a quick overview of what's going to happen here. For both of these, I'll install the WordPress beta tester plugin that will allow me to pull the latest beta, which should be WordPress 5.7. Beta 2 might grab the nightly. I'm going to keep everything kind of the way it is. I think my server on Liquid Web is PHP 7.3. This is PHP 7.4. This is all spun up. Let me add the HTTPS. And maybe I'll move it to 8 and just see what happens. But this is just like a basic standard out of the box website, right? So this is mostly about testing what's going on in 5.7, which I guess it would be helpful. What's the topic? Well, Marcel, right now we're testing WordPress 5.7. So let me bring up WordPress 5.7, the release notes, so that I know what to test. WordPress 5.7 Beta 2. Highlights, some developer notes. Current is from March 9th, so that's 4 weeks away. Pause and playing media when closing the media modal. All right, let's go to, so this is the Beta 2. Blog post. Hey, Adam, thanks for joining. Thanks for joining the live stream. I really appreciate it. Right now I'm trying to find a link I thought I already had ready to go, which is the WordPress 5.7 release list. So that's 5.7 beta. Okay, improvements to core, lazy loading, iframe. Migrating from HTTP to HTTPS is streamlined, so maybe I should not have enabled HTTPS at first. Standardized colors when using the WP admin on a single palette. Ongoing cleanup for jQuery. So that's the main thing that I'm most keen about on casabona.org is I'll be trying 5.7 to see if anything has gone horribly wrong with jQuery and the migration there. There have been some improvements to the editor, inserter, drag and drop block. Blocks and block patterns can now be dragged directly from the inserter. This is a great... Let me just tell you how many times I've tried to do that and it didn't work. It's like I forget every time. Block variations, several enhancements to reusable blocks. The button block now supports vertical alignments. Improvements to the social icons block, font sizes in more places, which is great. So, yeah, let's just see how this goes. First, again, I'll do this in WP and the dev Kinsta. Joey C. I think that's probably not the right password, actually. Oh, it was great. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and search for the beta testers plugin. WordPress beta tester. Enable this. Activate it. I'm going to get rid of my face and increase the size so you all can see a little better what's happening here. Okay, so if I go to Tools, Beta Testing, that's where that lives. We'll do Bleeding Edge Release, Save Changes, and then we'll head over to here. Current version is 5.6.1. We'll refresh this. You know what? Actually, it just occurred to me over on Liquid Web that I might not be able to do this. Okay, let me see what I missed here. Nightlies, betas, release candidates, bleeding edge, extra settings. Yeah, do that. Okay. This is odd, and I wonder if it's because there's some weird setting here. Or maybe I'm just being impatient. So let's go to my Liquid website. That's all spun up. Looking good. And I'll do the same thing here. There's one more thing I need to do because this is like a real site. And that is set the profile to a color that screams this is not a live site. Because I've accidentally updated live sites when I meant to update the local site and vice versa. And it's never been fun for me. So make sure to do that. Again, we'll look for the beta testers plugin. I'll probably spend about 10 minutes or so doing this. 10-15 minutes. And then with the last few minutes, we will nerd talk. So anybody who just joined the chat, WandaVision spoilers coming up. WandaVision spoilers. All right. So again, we'll go to beta testing. Now here, oh, I've already had this set. Here, I might run into some issues because Liquid Web might block this plugin. I'm not sure if that's the case. Not trying to get it. I'm not getting it on either website though. So that's frustrating to me. I wonder if at least for the local version, if I can... Let's see. Anything going on in WP config land here? The joys of doing a live site test. Or live test. I can't even sing the right words to my made-up song. Debug log display. Not seeing anything here. I was looking to see if the environment variable was set. I don't know what change that would make though. And then let's go into WP content, plugins. Nothing there. Maybe it just hasn't been pushed to the beta tester plugin. That really can't be true though. Don't know. I don't know what's happening here. All right, so this is the WordPress beta tester plugin. Refresh that again. Switch to automatic updates for maintenance and security only. Oh. I'm sorry if anybody noticed that and they're like, Joe, what are you doing? There is an update available and I just had blindness to it because I ignore these notices, and so I didn't see anything around that. I just saw the current. I guess I was expecting a big heading that says a new version is available, which I'm not seeing here. Right? Refresh this. Again, this is probably something that is blocked on Liquid Web, so I can't do the test here, which is moderately frustrating. I understand why they do it, because they're a managed WordPress host. But on a the staging site restrictions should be lower, right? So bleeding edge, betas, skip this. Because presumably, right, I would want to test. Maybe they will allow a release candidate. Maybe. But that's moderately frustrating that I can't check that. Again, I understand why. So what I really should do is pull my whole site down to a local environment and test there. If we're following appropriate development practices. That's okay though. Because I can still WordPress 5.7, countless ways, greater layout flexibility. We're on 2021 for reals. So let's test some of the things going on here. For example, let me turn HTTPS off. And I'll probably get logged out here. Yeah. Okay, so we've got the appropriate protocol here. I don't know why this is still telling me. An encrypted connection. Are you, though? Oh, yeah, you really are. Okay. Round and round. Okay, there we go. So let's go to a page, for example. We'll walk through this, make each block your own, get to know the library, learn how the block editor works, get started. All right, so I'm going to test this drag action right now. Drag an image. Cool, that worked. Media library, I guess I don't really have anything in the media library. So I can find an image to drag from somewhere. Just do that. I'm using an application called Yoink, which is, I covered this in the live stream last week. It's one of my favorite apps for the Mac because it makes it really easy to kind of move assets around It's like a little drawer that shows up on the side here. Okay, so hello there. Save and publish this. So this will be our first big test, right? We're viewing the page. No SSL. Turn on SSL. I also didn't read this thoroughly, so my assumption is that when I turn on SSL, it'll automatically convert this asset. So let's refresh. We're still on HTTP, I reckon. Oh, but you can see I got logged out yet again. HTTPS:// and I'm not getting a mixed content warning. Let's open up Chrome because Chrome is like obnoxious about it. I shouldn't say it like that. They're keeping me safe. No mixed content warning there either. I'm going to drag this to check the URL. And it's HTTPS. How neat is that? That's super cool because right now it kind of requires a plugin. And if you don't know about that plugin, well, then your site is slightly less secure. So let's see what else is going on here. Block variations. What did I cover? The social icons. Being able to change the colors for those. So let's see. Social icons. Default, logos only, pill-shaped. Color. Neat. So add what? Oh, that's pretty cool. Clearly I don't use these, right? Widgets. Interesting. Patreon. What if I just drag that in here? That's cool. Patreon label. And then if we go up, I think it's I like explicitly. Oh. That's weird. Is that weird? Am I miss? Oh, I am missing something. Okay, so that's cool. You can set. I like that a lot. You can set the background and color for social icons. I think that's really cool. So long, really simple SSL. You were my hero, Adam. I think you speak for a lot of us when you say that. Really simple SSL is a fantastic plugin that makes sure you are forcing HTTPS and that all of your assets are HTTPS. It filled a very, very important need, especially when Let's Encrypt became more ubiquitous, right? And more people were just by default having SSL sites. So yeah, that's like one of the first plugins I install on every website. And it looks like with 5.7, we won't need that anymore, which is good. I'm sure the fine folks behind Really Simple SSL will find a way to pivot. Or they'll just abandon it and take the lessons they learned and apply it to a different business, right? So we'll see. So let's see what else is going on here. Insert, drag and drop, full height alignment. Blocks such as the cover block can now have an option to expand to fill the entire viewport. Let's see what that looks like in action. Let's convert. Can I convert this to a cover? I suspect I can, yes. And then is this toggle full height? Probably makes more sense to be full width too. This is too big. My face is too big. Okay, so we can change the font here, make it huge, gigantic. I like those. Drop cap if we want, but the drop cap appears to be smaller than the gigantic font. Yeah, so that's probably a bug worth reporting. If we get to gigantic, drop cap. Oh, fixes itself somehow. Interesting. We can change the color, get the contrast warning. What I would love to see, maybe this is just, but 2021 uses like system fonts. I would love to be able to bold fonts and stuff here. But anyway, get rid of that drop cap. And we'll update this. Let's go to the page, see how it looks. So this is interesting, right? Because this would be super effective if I wasn't using if I was able to hide the header and footer. Page attributes, I don't see that anywhere here, or page templates. So this is probably something that'll be super useful with full site editing. Or if I'm using a theme, like if I wasn't using 2021, if I was using a different theme that allowed me to hide the header and footer, like, again, Astra or Cadence. But that's cool. That's a nice touch. I know a lot of people like that effect. That's not something that I usually do, but it's nice. They probably got enough feedback on that. Block variations, block inspect. The icon and description of block variation is now shown in the block inspector, and a new drop-down in the block inspector allows you to switch between block variations. So block inspector is this thing, right? Oh, maybe it's this thing. And we can change some settings here. We can change it. I really love the block previews too, just to see what it looks like. Change the content position. Oh, I forgot you can do that with the cover image. So that's interesting. Font sizes in more places, other enhancements. It would probably be really good. I'm making more work for the core team here, but to have a test plan. So you can now enable lazy loading on iframes. That's probably a good thing to test. Iframe. Frame. Is that just an embed? How do I add an iframe? Oh my gosh, how do I add an iframe to WordPress? To a WordPress? To WordPress. Iframe. Frame. Is it just like a URL? If I just like drop a URL in here, will it create an iframe? Wow, sure does. That's very interesting. Or is it just embedding the website? You can see I'm logged in, and I've got Query Monitor running on a live site. You shouldn't do that. So let's see. What does this do? I just made a really weird sound. Sorry, everybody. I had to hear that. I'm going to try this, and then we'll kind of be done with it. Because I am moderately confused. Full width. It appears we can't really change the height. What if we look at this as source? It probably... This is silly. It probably means that I can just drop iframe code in here. Figure. This is super duper interesting because it doesn't look like an iframe. It must be though, because it's loading the page. How else would it do that? Okay, well, anyway, so I started saying this before. It would be cool if there was like a test plan checklist, right? Because lazy loading iframes, in the 30 seconds I tried that, didn't work. Migrating from HTTP to HTTPS, my very singular test worked for that. Fantastic. Standardized colors used in WP admin to a single palette. I like that. That looked nice. Ongoing cleanup after jQuery 3.5.1. That would have been the main thing I tested if I could get the beta tester plugin working on my staging site over here. So what I will have to do, unless something is just magically changed here, what I'll have to do is download my site to a local site and actually do that test, because that is something you should absolutely test before going to 5.7. It's completing the jQuery migration, the upgrade, And if you're using a lot of plugins or you're using a theme that relies on jQuery that hasn't updated for that yet, you're going to run into problems. So that's something really important that you should test. New Robots API, we took a look in the block editor, which seems to be the main story here as far as testing changes goes. Everything worked okay to me. Again, this is not like a thorough test. This was just kind of me clicking around. When I can test on my actual sites, which again, I'm moving over to Nexus, so maybe I'll be able to do sooner rather than later. Then that's when I'll actually like click through all of the pages and make sure jQuery is not broken anywhere and things like that. So, okay. So with the last few minutes of this live stream, before I go grab lunch, before doing another live stream, reminder, over on the WP Buffs channel, we'll be doing an AMA with Ali Nimmons. I'm really looking forward to that. I do want to talk WandaVision really quick. So, WandaVision spoilers are happening right now. If you haven't seen episode 5, I'm going to spoil it for you. If you haven't seen episode 5, WandaVision spoilers. So, at the end of episode 4, which was, we took a break from the actual TV show, WandaVision, and we got a look at what was happening in the real world. We finally got some light shed on the situation, and Monica mentioned that it's Wanda controlling everything and everyone. In episode 5, we got even more insight on that. Wanda stepped out of the bubble, which Darcy is calling the hex for hexagon. And also double meaning, right? Because when you put a hex on somebody, you've cursed them. So it's maybe they did that on purpose. What? Wanda comes out of the hex to tell the agents of S.W.O.R.D. to stop messing with her business. So it seems like the current MacGuffin, I guess, the thing that's moving the story forward, is we are to believe that this really is Wanda acting on her own accord. However, S.W.O.R.D. had meddled just enough that they're in the 80s now, by the way. They have kids. The kids are aging up about 5 years a clip. And it gets, I mean, gosh, there are more creepy moments here, but they send an email to Vision's work computer, to everybody's work computer, right? Because they just set up electronic mail. And Vision kind of starts to snap out of it, and he is able to break Wanda's curse on one of his coworkers. And now Vision is starting to figure it out. And at the end, they start to have an argument about it. Wanda's denying. I should say earlier in the episode, her kids asked her if she had a brother, which she did, he died in one of the Avengers movies. I think it was Age of Ultron. But he was Quicksilver. And the big reveal at the end is that her brother is back, but it's not the Quicksilver that it's not the same brother from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's the Quicksilver from the X-Men series, which is not part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe because Fox owned X-Men. Marvel, the movie rights to X-Men, Marvel didn't, so they couldn't include any mention of the X-Men. Actually, I was watching a Super Carlin Brothers video today where they pointed out that while Wanda and her brother are kind of crossover Marvel and X-Men, Wanda had never been called Scarlet Witch in the MCU. That's like her X-Men name. I did not realize that at all. Anyway, it's the Quicksilver that from the X-Men movies that shows up. And Darcy says she recast Pietro. So the theories abound here. She said she didn't make this happen. There's a theory that she did by mentioning him as not dead, that like willed him into existence or pulled him from another universe Doctor Strange is coming out. The next Doctor Strange movie is called Multiverse of Madness. So this is probably the way that X-Men are going to be introduced into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Because, again, currently mutants don't exist in this universe. But maybe Wanda is making some multiverse crossover. And then it's going to bring and create mutants moving forward. And that's probably how we'll get X-Men in Phase 4. Because if you don't know, Disney, who owns Marvel, also bought 20th Century Fox. So they now own all the movie rights to all of the Marvel properties except Spider-Man. I suspect that Disney's probably not going to buy Sony, but they're going to try very, very hard to get Spider-Man back in more than just this deal that they have where they can use Spider-Man in the MCU. So I'm really excited. The show is getting crazier and crazier, and I love it. I just kind of talked about my theories. I'm not really good at theories, really. I'm too in the moment, but, you know, if I had to guess, I would say that, we'll be in the 90s for the next episode if things progress as we thought they would. We'll be in the 90s, and, I think we'll probably start to see more mutants come along. Apparently there's a rumor for a big reveal, like a big, like Luke Skywalker, Mandalorian spoilers, I guess, Luke Skywalker style cameo. I think it's going to be Logan because he's like the Luke Skywalker of the X-Men series, right? Wolverine, if you will. Though Quicksilver's dad is Magneto. Quicksilver and therefore Scarlet Witch. Their dad is Magneto, so it would be cool if she like willed her dad into existence. But that'll be interesting. Also, Vision is supposed to be incorruptible, so I don't know how he's gonna feel about being reanimated. Because Wanda missed him, essentially. You could tell that he was getting pretty annoyed at that before they were interrupted. So I'm really excited to see that. Okay, so that's it for this live stream. Next week I'll talk about watching Star Wars with my daughter in the Nerd Corner. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. If you liked this video, be sure to subscribe to like this and subscribe for more great content. And again, don't forget to join me and Allie Nimmons, the host, over at the WP Puffs channel in an hour, less than an hour, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, to ask me anything. Thanks to everybody who showed up. I really appreciate it. And until next time, get out there and build something.